There is a relentless ache in your soul, a sensation of imbalance, an absence of peace gnawing at the edges of your mind. It doesn't come from the world outside, no, it comes from within, from the turbulence of your own heart. We walk through life imprisoned by our own emotional chaos, slaves to our desires, our fears, and our obsessions. We seek control over the world, when the true source of our agony is our inability to control ourselves. What is this restlessness, this anxiety that grips you? Why, despite the comforts of modern life, the achievements and distractions you surround yourself with, does peace elude you? It's because, deep inside, you have forgotten the nature of things. You have forgotten that tranquility is not something you find outside of yourself, in fleeting pleasures or fleeting moments of happiness. Peace is something you cultivate within. The ancient Stoics knew this truth well. They taught that the cause of our suffering is not the world itself, but how we perceive and respond to it. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and a Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Herein lies the heart of the Stoic way. We cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we react. The enemy within, our destructive emotions. To find tranquility, we must first confront the root of our suffering, our destructive emotions. The Stoics called them path, a word that represents the passions that seize our souls, dragging us into despair and fury. Anger, fear, jealousy, lust, these are the tyrants within us that rule over our minds and hearts, distorting our view of the world. When we allow these emotions to reign unchecked, we become their prisoners, tossed about like a ship in a storm. But the storm is not the world. The storm is within us. Seneca, one of the most profound Stoic thinkers, understood this well. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that for a moment. How often do we create suffering for ourselves with our thoughts? We imagine the worst-case scenarios, project fears and anxieties onto the future, relive past mistakes, and stew in resentment over things we cannot change. We torment ourselves not because the world is cruel, but because we refuse to accept the world as it is. The Stoics urge us to see these emotions for what they truly are, misjudgments of the mind. We react with anger because we believe we have been wronged. We sink into despair because we believe we have failed. But these beliefs are distortions. They are illusions that keep us from the truth, which is this: no one and nothing can harm us unless we allow it to. If you are distressed by anything external, Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The power to revoke. This is the key. We cannot control the world, but we can control our judgments about it. And in doing so, we can find peace. The wisdom of acceptance, understanding what we can and cannot control. At the heart of Stoicism is the distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. Epictetus, a Stoic slave turned philosopher, gave us perhaps the simplest yet most profound statement of this idea. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Think about that. Most of our suffering comes from trying to control things that are not within our power, other people's opinions, the outcomes of our efforts, the randomness of life. We struggle, we fight, we worry, trying to bend the world to our will. But this is madness. It is like trying to hold back the tides with our bare hands. Instead, the Stoics teach us to focus only on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. This is the foundation of inner peace. If we can let go of our attachment to outcomes, if we can accept the world as it is, rather than as we wish it to be, we will no longer be at the mercy of fortune. It is not events that disturb people, Epictetus said, it is their judgments concerning them. If we judge that something terrible has happened, we feel sorrow. But if we accept it as part of the natural order, as something beyond our control, we can remain calm. Imagine this: you are a rock in the middle of a river. The water rushes around you, sometimes fast and violent, other times slow and gentle. But you remain unmoved. The world flows around you, but your tranquility comes from your own solidity. This is what it means to live according to nature, as the Stoics would say. To understand that the world moves as it will, and we are a part of that flow, not separate from it. The practice of virtue, the true path to peace. But peace is not merely the absence of suffering. It is the presence of something greater. For the Stoics, that something is virtue. Virtue, living in accordance with reason and nature, is the highest good. It is the only thing that can lead to true happiness, or eudaimonia, the flourishing life. The Stoics believed that by practicing the four cardinal virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we align ourselves with the natural order of the universe. And in that alignment, we find peace. Wisdom is the ability to see things as they truly are. It is the understanding that the world is neither good nor bad, but indifferent. It is our judgment that colors events, not the events themselves. To be wise is to free ourselves from the tyranny of our emotions and desires, to see the world clearly, without illusion. Courage is the strength to face whatever life brings us without fear. It is the knowledge that we can endure anything because we control how we respond. The Stoics did not believe in running from pain or hardship. They believed in meeting it head-on, with fortitude and grace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is the Stoic path, facing obstacles not with resentment, but with the understanding that they are opportunities for growth. Justice is the virtue of living in harmony with others. It is the recognition that we are all part of the same whole, interconnected in ways we often fail to see. The Stoics believed that to harm another was to harm ourselves. True peace, they taught, comes not from isolating ourselves, but from living in accordance with the common good. Temperance is the ability to master our desires, to live with self-control and moderation. In a world that constantly tempts us with excess, the Stoics remind us that true freedom comes from restraint. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life, said Epictetus. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Together, these virtues form the foundation of Stoic practice. And by living virtuously, we align ourselves with the nature of the universe. In doing so, we find peace. The power of negative visualization, preparing for life's challenges. One of the most powerful tools the Stoics used to maintain their tranquility was a practice called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. The Stoics believed that by mentally rehearsing the worst possible scenarios, they could prepare themselves for whatever life might throw at them. This is not pessimism. It is realism. Life is unpredictable, and suffering is inevitable. By imagining the loss of everything we hold dear, our possessions, our health, even our loved ones, we remind ourselves of the transient nature of life. Seneca advised, "It is in times of security that the spirit should be preparing itself for difficult times. While fortune is bestowing favors on it, is then the time for it to be strengthened against her rebuffs." By practicing negative visualization, we are not surrendering to despair. Instead, we are fortifying our minds. When we have already prepared ourselves for the worst, we are less likely to be thrown off course when misfortune strikes. We are less likely to be overwhelmed by fear or sorrow. And in this way, we maintain our peace. Amor fati, loving what is. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the concept of amor fati, the love of fate. It is not enough to merely accept the events of life with resignation. The Stoics teach us to embrace them with love. Nietzsche, who was deeply influenced by the Stoics, wrote, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it." To love fate is to see everything that happens to us, every joy, every sorrow, every triumph, every tragedy, as necessary. It is to understand that the universe is unfolding exactly as it should, and we are a part of that unfolding. When we love what is, rather than longing for what is not, we free ourselves from suffering. We become one with the flow of life, and in that oneness, we find peace. Conclusion: the way forward. So, why are you not at peace? It is because you have forgotten who you are. You have forgotten that you are not a victim of the world, but a part of it. You have forgotten that the only thing you can control is yourself, your thoughts, your actions, your reactions. You are not at peace because you allow your emotions to rule you, because you try to control what cannot be controlled, because you seek happiness in things that are fleeting and outside of your power. But there is another way. The Stoic way. By practicing virtue, by accepting what is and focusing only on what we can control, by preparing ourselves for the challenges of life and embracing them with love, we can find the peace that has eluded us. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Change your thoughts. Change your life. Peace is within you, waiting to be found. All you have to do is remember the Stoic way.